All right, so today we're here with Dr. Jay Feldman, social media expert, and he's going to talk about verification for us. So, as you're all aware, now you can buy verification on most platforms for 5, 10, 15, $20 a month. So, why are they doing that, Jay?
So it's a very sad day and time for influencers everywhere, people who worked really, really hard to earn that blue check mark over years. Some people even paid a lot of money for it, tens of thousands of dollars in some cases. I've heard blue checks being sold for upwards of $40,000 until recently. So some people literally paid 40 grand last month, got a blue check, and obviously the value of the blue check has changed significantly since the rollout of Meta Verified.
Why were people doing the verification? So, like, I know I did verification because I wanted people to know that I was legitimate. And as I was building my business, as I was marketing, people would see that and trust me more. But, like, people are spending 50, 100, a lot of money on this. Why were they doing that in the first place?
So there's the reason that Meta has to verify accounts, which is one thing, and that is obviously to protect the identity of a person or a brand from being impersonated. And then there's the other reason, which is the reason that a lot of influencers seek that blue check mark, and that is for social validation, authority, credibility. If you have that check mark, it means that you're important. And before last week, it's not something you could just go and buy. Even if you did pay a PR agency to get a blue check mark, it's still not something you can just go and buy. It's a process, it's press, it's building your personal brand over the course of months or even years before you could get it. So now, obviously, the value has changed and the environment on blue checks has changed.
Yeah, so I know a lot of the reason in the past to get verified was to prevent scams. So people would make fake accounts of you as an entrepreneur. People make fake accounts of me and try to sell services under my name. And so I know a lot of people are doing it for that reason. And I believe that's part of the reason why they're trying to make this so everyone can pay. How do you think this is going to help or hurt with scams?
So it's definitely going to help with scams. I think the big problem with verification up until now is the access. So you needed to be important in order to get verified, but not everyone who was verified was conducting scams.
Right.
So now this should protect a lot of people. If you're getting solicited by an account without a blue check now, you can be pretty damn sure that it's going to be a scammer or a fake account because they have not verified using their ID that they are the true version of that account.
So I actually think it kind of helps in some sense with scammers because they can still verify it's a real account and then go market to you. And then, at least right now, not everyone knows about verification. So there's someone hit me up with a service and they had a verified account. And I was like, oh, I'm kind of interested. Like, let me go talk to this guy. And then I realized there's no reason why his account wasn't verified except for he paid for it. So I think it's changing the space and we're going to have to see if it's negative or positive. I know Twitter had a lot of issues with that. Can you kind of talk us through like what Twitter went through with their verification process?
So went through and still figuring it out. And I think Instagram and Twitter are still going to be figuring it out for at least another year because they've tried iterations of this. Twitter was verifying multiple versions of the same account. You just had to pay for it and you get a blue check, whether or not you were actually that person or that brand. They rolled that back and then they fixed it. Now they're adding different color check marks for certain brand accounts. What Twitter did recently was, I thought, absurd. They actually took the blue checks away from legacy accounts who were already verified. They removed those blue checks and forced them to pay the subscription in order to have it. In fact, Elon Musk recently took New York Times blue check
No.
away and will not give it back because they refuse to pay for it. Isn't that crazy?
That is crazy. So and that brings up brands for Instagram. I know right now I don't think they're doing verification for brands. What's that process look like?
So, correct. Meta is currently not selling subscription blue checks for brands. So, that process will still look like the old process, where you have to apply through the form, know somebody at Facebook or Instagram to get verified. But that could change rapidly. And I think the value of what brands and influencers are willing to pay for a blue check has changed dramatically. And they're probably too scared to hire a PR firm to get that blue check because who knows, next week they might roll it out for $15 per month.
Yeah, it's probably not worth the risk for most people.
Probably not worth it. Now, my question is one, is Instagram going to follow Twitter's suit and remove legacy blue checks? And two, are they going to do anything to differentiate the people who are paying a subscription fee, who don't actually deserve the blue check, versus people who are legacy, verified, important people, real authority figures, real thought leaders? And it'd be so easy to differentiate between the two. All you have to do is change the color, and you get the same benefit of having everyone verified, stopping the impersonators, stopping the spammers, and you get to keep the distinction of people who are actually credible thought leaders, people who are important.
Celebrities.
Yeah.
actors, models.
Celebrities, actors, models, musicians.
So I know one of the big ones was TV anchors, because if you're on TV and you're telling the news, they don't want people to impersonate you, because you could start spreading lies and that could go viral. So it would be kind of easy for someone to have even legally change their name to someone else's name and then go build a fake. Like there's a lot of things you can do. So I still don't love the idea of this.
I don't either. And I think it hurts the consumer in some way because as you're scrolling through Instagram, I think it's helpful for you as a user, as a consumer, to know who is important when you're looking at content, when you're looking through the comments, to know who is credible,
Yeah.
who is an authority figure, who should you be listening to and focusing on.
Credible was the word I was thinking of, just because they're, when you're getting news from someone, you want to know, is that a credible source? And if everyone has the same blue check, I can't really differentiate from someone who at least has invested into their brand, invested in themselves to be that voice of truth versus just anyone now kind of putting out fake news.
100%. I think Zucks needs to change the color. I think it's a no-brainer, and I think they will probably figure that out and do it at some point. But I read this thing recently, which is absolutely nuts. It blew my mind. How many blue checks Meta sold during that first week and how much money they made?
How much?
They sold like 440,000 blue checks and made almost $1 billion within a week.
And that's monthly recurring?
And that's monthly recurring. They just added an entire business, an entire product line, a service line that everybody is going to subscribe to. And it's just a massive, it's a no-brainer from Zuck's point of view. Like,
It is.
why wouldn't you do that?
It is. It makes sense. And I know that on Instagram right now, if there's a blue check, you can actually click on it and it'll explain why it was verified. It explains if it was credible or not. And I think they've changed it all to say the same thing right now.
Yes.
But the thing that's unique is it still says the date you were verified. So you can go back and look at like Russell Brunson from ClickFunnels and say that, he was verified 10 years ago or 5 years ago, whatever that number is. And at least then you can say, okay, this person had some history of that. But that's taking research and time to figure out, did they just get it as of today or was it a past situation?
Right. So if you're trying to figure out if an account is actually credible or if they're paying for it, just click on their blue check. And if it says you were verified February 2023 or later, chances are they're paying for that thing. Now, the reason that I think they're going to add the colors later on is I don't think a lot of people would have signed up for it if they knew that there was going to be a color distinction, because then they lose the authority that they get with the blue check.
Yeah.
Having the same blue check that Russell Brunson had, the same blue check that you had, makes them feel important.
Yep.
And I don't think they would have done it if they knew that your blue check was going to be a gold check a month from now.
And I saw Twitter has some gold checks now. So walk us through what that means.
So gold checks, I think right now are reserved for big brands.
Yeah, that's what I saw. It was a brand.
Yeah, and I don't know how to get one. I haven't looked too much into it. I'm not an avid user of Twitter. I did pay for their blue check.
Same.
And, whether or not that makes a big impact, fine. But what sold me on getting the Twitter blue check was them prioritizing tweets and comments from verified accounts.
You think Facebook's going to do the same?
Yes, I think it's a no-brainer to do the same. If you have everybody subscribed so that only verified people are engaging with something, posting, I think it cuts through a lot of the noise. Because I think one of the big problems with using social media as a consumer right now is all of the spam accounts, the bots, the meme accounts. And it's hard to, when there's 1,000 comments on something, I want to see the real people giving their honest feedback. I know who to attribute the comment to. It's going to cut back on a lot of the scams and a lot of the, what do you call the trolls? It's going to cut back on a lot of the trolls.
The haters, the people that canceling people and with fake accounts.
Yeah, hiding behind some
alias,
some avatar on Instagram, spewing all this hate.
Yeah.
Now, hopefully, they can just hide the hate in a separate section that you have to click to access.
Do you see verification rolling out to other platforms like Reddit and other social media platforms like LinkedIn?
I hope so. I think this is a revolution, and I hope it's a revolution where in order to interact or at least be seen in the context of a social media platform and a conversation, to have an ID linked to your account.
Yeah.
I think too many people are hiding behind these avatars, canceling people on Twitter, spewing all this hate on Reddit, and there's just no accountability. And I hope that every social media platform follows suit.
Yeah. I mean, I know YouTube's pushing their subscription model, but they could also push the contributors to be subscription model as well. And that'd probably do way better because I think they're having a lot of trouble getting people to really subscribe to YouTube because no one wants to pay for something they already had for free.
I will say that I subscribe to YouTube.
Do you?
Yeah, I think for anyone who watches a lot of YouTube videos and doesn't want to waste their time with the ads, one, and two, YouTube Music. One of the most underrated services on earth. I don't subscribe to any other music platform, no Apple, no Spotify. Love YouTube Music, and I watch a ton of YouTube. It also gives you the ability to not have the browser and the app open while you're watching videos, so I can use it for podcasts. I can use it to listen to things in the gym. I can download content from YouTube and watch it later, so highly recommend YouTube
A little off
subscriptions.
topic, but yeah.
Totally off topic.
So, as a creator, what's your recommendation? I mean, am I paying for verification? Should I get it verified on every platform? What do you think?
If you're a creator and you're actively creating, no brainer. It's $15 a month. And right now, a lot of people can't tell the difference.
Yeah.
So I think you have an advantage over the next 6 to 12 months.
Until people realize that you can just pay for it.
Right.
Yep.
So if you're looking for brand collaborations, if you're looking for collaborations with other accounts, they don't know the difference. And right now, there isn't a distinction. So I'd say the $15 right now is well worth your money. You know, a year from now, when everybody's verified and the value is decreasing, my opinion on that might change. But right now, if I'm creating content, 100% paying for it.
Yeah, I mean, as a verified influencer with some social content, even if I'm not great at it, I get free tickets, I get free entry to things. So that's all going to change, but how quickly is it going to change?
Right. And Scott, you were verified back in like 2021.
Yeah.
You got the real check mark, the one that used to mean you were somebody. How do you feel since they rolled out paid verification and everybody can just pay for it?
I mean, I think my concern is, again, like I said earlier, the potential for scams. So other entrepreneurs that aren't kind of legitimate pushing their products, and then people see that blue check, especially right now, and oh, okay, like this guy's verified. Like there's more trust in there, and that's the whole point, is more trust. But these people haven't earned that trust. It's kind of like getting a credit rating in a sense. Is like we've spent a lot of time building a business and kind of building that trust and credibility and getting ourselves in the news as credible and having reviews put on us and going through this whole verification process. So ideally what we're selling you is more legitimate.
So do you think the paid verification is good for scams or bad for scams?
I think it's going to go both ways. I mean, we saw as soon as Twitter went public with this situation, there was a whole bunch of fake accounts that were different brands, which I believe there's a couple, I don't remember the name of the company, but their stock actually tanked because of a tweet that went out with this fake verified account. And of course, they paused verification to work on that problem. But I mean, that's just one situation. Of course, long term, it probably will be a benefit. But in the short term, there's probably going to be more issues. So, and that's with any kind of change, though.
What concerns me the most is all of the influencers who are relying on their blue check to prop up their social media account, make it look more important, make it look like they were a top tier influencer, who relied on it for brand deals, for traveling, for getting free stuff. And you know, I'm no stranger to getting free stuff and brand deals. But we have a close friend, I'm not going to name her here, and she leverages that blue check, or has leveraged it for a long time in order to travel for free, get free stuff. And now it's just another face in the crowd. It's just one blue check and a needle in a haystack, and brands will soon figure out that it means nothing. So influencers are going to have to find other creative ways to make their accounts stand out. So my question to you is, what creative ways to stand out, look more authoritative, can influencers incorporate into their Instagram?
Yep, and that's kind of where I was going. So this is going to level the playing field. So as a verified influencer, if I push content, ideally people are going to engage with it more. And so that's what it's going to do for everyone now that has verification, though. So it's going to become even more level when it comes to that actual content. So if I'm producing good content, if I'm getting it produced at a professional level, if I'm having it edited correctly, if I'm staying up to date with trends, I'm going to have to work on that more than I did before because of that blue check, which was that little bit of advantage. So I could have been worse, but still taking that lead if you're kind of ranking influencers. So I think it's really going to come down to even more now the content that you're producing.
I agree. Quality content, engaging content that's shareable is probably the most important thing for growing a social media and getting brand deals. I'll also add that a blue check is a stamp of authority. It says, I'm credible. There's other types of blue checks that exist that you can add to your account to also add credibility.
Okay.
TEDx speaker,
Yep.
if you're a Wall Street Journal best-selling author, if you've been featured in Forbes, these are all blue checks that you can write in your bio that add some credibility to your account.
Published author, speaker, things like that.
Medical doctor, I mean, you can't just like pay $15 a month and get an MD.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things like that that people can leverage. And that's where I think working with a PR firm will not go out of style, because a lot of this stuff you can't just pay for.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've been featured in Forbes. I'm one of the only people I know that has a full feature with my name in the title, and that starts conversations. People will come up to me at conferences and be like, oh my God, I saw your Forbes. Like, and these are people that I've never met before. They probably got hit with an ad and then Googled me, which is awesome for me because it starts a conversation. And then on top of like you said, that blue check, it's really building that trust because I had the trust of Forbes. Somehow I was able to make that happen. And it's a unique story. And so
Right.
that's where you're still starting that conversation. So you're gonna have to rely on more things like that.
Yeah, a blue check is essentially showing other people that Instagram has deemed you notable. It's deemed you credible.
Yep.
Same things to be said if your profile picture is in front of a TED sign
Mm-hmm.
because you're doing a talk. Boom, that says that TED has already deemed you credible and deemed you notable, and that's not easy to do.
Yeah, mine's the ClickFunnels award, the Two Comma Club award, and that builds credibility just because people see that they're like, oh, this person's made X amount as a business owner or in marketing, and so they're gonna connect with you more.
Right. So my call to action, I guess, for people who are buying that blue check is to know that paying for it might be cool for a couple of months, but soon it's going to be worthless. And you need to find other ways to show that you are an authority figure, to show that you're credible. And you need to find things like TED, like Forbes, like your degree, your title fight, whatever that might be, to show that you are somebody. And the blue check is not going to do that anymore.
Absolutely. All right, Jay. Any last words before we sign off?
I don't think so. This is a lot of fun. I'm excited to see where blue checks go next.
All right. How do people get in touch with you?
To get in touch with me and us, you can hit me up on Instagram at CMOJFeldman or at OtterPR. And my beautiful host here is at Found Scott. I'd love to talk further about blue checks. We also talk about this pretty in detail on our YouTube channel, so go check that out.
Awesome. Thank you, Jay.